Greetings, one and all, from the White Mountains of Arizona, and thank you for joining us on another channeling adventure. The other day, we were sitting around and we were thinking to ourselves, we got a pretty good handle on this ascension thing, at least through the positive polarity. You did a free will violation in another dimension. You come here, you learn about your free will violation, you remove your ego, you ascend out of the cube, go on to the next spot. But we also know that no two ascensions will look the same, maybe even similar. So there's got to be a way to ascend through the lower polarity, through the perhaps technology, dark evil polarity, as you might call it. So we want to get some answers on that today. How do you ascend through the darkness, or the lower, the slower frequency, however they like to call it? They get a little triggered over the lower, higher terminology. But we don't know who Tara's going to connect with today. It's going to be whoever is most qualified to answer our questions. And our questions is basically just one question. How does the lower polarity ascend? This should be an interesting one. We'll look around here while Tara gets tapped in. She likes to triple check to make sure she's getting the being that she thinks she's getting.
Okay.
All right, who do we have here today?
A reptilian. Kind of look like the white reptilians, but not really. They're kind of different.
Okay, what dimensional frequency is this reptile in?
It said it's vibrating between the 4th and 5th dimension.
So it's outside the cube?
It's a yes and no at the same time.
It's in the cube because it's speaking to us, but it can freely leave the cube whenever it feels like.
Yes.
Did this being ascend through the lower frequency?
I am.
You are lower frequency?
Yes, but working to raise one's frequency between 4th and 5th. I'm currently.
Were you once part of this 3D cube?
Yes, but in 4th dimension.
Okay, so our questions today surround the ascension path for those who choose a slower frequency of vibration. Can you explain what this means to you?
Yes, although it's rather simple, it would be the inverse of the ascension of light. We all ascend to higher frequencies, higher dimensions, but our perspective of that dimension and one's mission in that dimension might look vastly different from another polarity, if that polarity does indeed exist within that dimension. But in my eyes, a total understanding of one's polarity, I myself negative polarity, but understanding it in its entirety. This means also understanding what light could be gained from one's polarity, but also understanding what the negative polarity or the shadow or darkness looks like within the light. And in understanding of the two, you still make the choice of whatever polarity you choose. In my case, it is negative polarity. And then you ascend with both halves of understanding and making a clear, sovereign choice.
Okay, so one could be completely balanced, yet extreme in their polarity and still ascend.
Yes, as long as you have an understanding of both polarities or all the polarities, depending on the dimension. And an understanding that all polarity is you, but you use that free will, to make your choice.
And this understanding is a prerequisite you have to make this balanced understanding in order to advance.
Perhaps there are other ways, but it is not known to me.
So, a being on Earth, in this 3D Earth plane, who is properly balanced, yet chooses to advance through the what I call lower polarity, would their life entail extreme acts of evil, as I see it?
As you see it, yes, but they would have to commit these acts with a clear choice. They would have to have full understanding that they are the light and the darkness, that they are committing the act upon something, and they are also the something they are committing the act upon.
So, at the higher levels, they know that they're hurting themselves, yet they still do it for the learning.
Yes.
What does it look? What does the light side look like to them through their perspective?
At one time, I suppose you could look at the light as the way you do the negative polarity. It seemed so vile, so horrific, why one would even choose that polarity. It makes very little logical sense. It's something that would be difficult even to be around, or if it was in a vessel, to look them in the eye. It was something we did not, or at least I did not, resonate with.
Is it excuse me, is it human nature to be positive in polarity? Because most of us would agree with helping each other, doing acts of kindness, giving freely.
Perhaps most in the reality that you have created, but some have created realities where the majority of the human population is negative. Some have created it as a mix. You've created many positive polarities to surround you, but this again is just everyone's differing realities. What is the reality of it all is up to you.
Because we're each in our own unique individual realities, surrounded by other unique individual realities.
Yes. So, for my learning, I had surrounded myself at first with all negative polarities, but then in wanting to understand, it felt like it should just be a duty to understand the other side. If I am wishing to fight the other side, I want to know my enemy, or I once learned it was my enemy, but now I have learned differently that it is just me.
So, is that the learning that takes you to 4D? At what point did you learn that in your path?
I was and still am a part of 4D, but at the moment of awakening, I guess you could say, my awakening was the understanding that I wanted to learn about the other polarity. How do they see? How do they operate? How could this be something they like?
So, a human who is in a lower polarity will create a reality for themselves where they're surrounded by other lower polarities, basically a feedback loop.
Yes, it's how you also feed into one's ego, keeping yourself surrounded by things that are familiar. But in my awakening, I began to raise my vibration subconsciously. So I began to surround myself with my opposite polarity. At first, I thought this was a nightmare. I must be punished for something to have this occur. And I wanted to fight them. I wanted them all to go away till I realized they had a lesson for me, and I became open-minded, and I sought to understand them so that I could understand myself even better.
Okay, so is this something that many of us will go through or experience in the earth realm, being surrounded by the opposite polarity in order to learn?
Yes, this is why we all came here, was to become mirrors for each other, to utilize our inherent polarity in this lifetime, but also connecting to other polarities we have been in other lifetimes, perhaps other timelines, and we choose to aid one another in this.
So the ultimate act of what I consider negative polarity being in this 3D cube would be committing acts of free will violations.
It could be committing acts of free will violation. However, for myself, currently in transition, well, in this space of time, but time, of course, does not exist. So I have ascended and yet I haven't. But you learn that there is a reason you came here. And we do have to also understand fully our free will violation, seeing the light within it as well as the shadow within it, utilizing it to see the shadow within the self and the light within the self, and then placing that superimposed upon the world around you, and then making a decision from there. Do I continue to choose the negative polarity or positive polarity? This does not always mean that I will continue to enact acts of free will violation, but that I can see why those acts had been done. But of course, I don't wish to stay, so I do not continue to further those acts.
Okay, so basically, the lower polarity commits extreme acts of free will violation until they learn that they can't commit those acts any further in order to leave here, at which point they stop.
Yes. And then you understand both halves, and perhaps also the neutral side. And you raise your vibration in doing so.
So, whatever polarity you choose, at some point you must stop committing acts of free will violation.
Yes, this is where the Venn diagram meets in the middle.
Even drinking water.
Yes.
Okay. And the light side, they continue often to commit free will violations until the point of their ascension. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Because the light side still eats food generally.
Both sides will eat and consume from outside of themselves until the moment of their ascension.
Ah. So, would a being who chooses the slower polarity, the slower vibration, live a life with more misery, fear, doubt than a being who chooses the positive polarity?
We still feel the full gamut of emotion. I suppose you could say we are surrounded more by what you might deem negative emotions as opposed to positive emotions. But what is a negative emotion to you feels positive to us. And so your positive emotions as you see them, I might see them as negative emotions.
So you feel the way about fear the way I do about love.
Yes. But I also understand love. I have to.
But you would never choose it over fear.
I have to understand that it is all that is. Everything comes from love, shadow and light.
So you choose a polarity, in your case, shadow, and you rise up through the fourth realm. When you get to the fifth realm, will your polarity balance out?
That is my free will choice. Perhaps I choose to live more balanced as some beings do in the fifth realm, having all polarity within myself, perhaps I will pick a side, so to speak. I'll let you know when I get there.
So one can be in polarity in the fifth realm while others are in neutrality?
Yes, but it may not look as you might view it.
Huh. Is the fastest way out of the cube to be completely balanced and choose no polarity?
You could do this, but it doesn't make it any faster or slower. It is merely a choice.
Seems less exciting.
Excitement level is based on your polarity.
So to an extremely neutral being, extremely neutral is exciting.
Is there not joy in extremes? Like extreme roller coasters, extreme spices, extreme emotion.
So in this 3D Earth polarity, we have choice. We could be equally positive, equally negative, extreme in one direction, extreme in the other. It really makes no difference what we choose.
As long as you have understanding that you are all and you know this to your core, yet you make a clear decision, utilizing your free will, utilizing your sovereignty. When all the quote unquote facts are laid out before you, what do you choose? That is all that matters.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. I appreciate you coming here and sharing your knowledge. I love you. Do you have any last message for the people before we go?
Yes, if ascension is your goal, then make sure that your whole focus is to understand all polarity, all aspects of the self. There are things that sometimes we do not look at because they bring us anxiety or they might anger us. But remember, those are the emotions that I, enjoy. So maybe you can utilize that in your next healing session to understand why something would have joy in this darkness, or to leave well enough alone within the dark, but also the joy in shining light on it, and what you might deem positive emotions that would come from it, understanding both.
Sweet.
Alrighty.
How'd you do? You remember that one?
Not so good.
I got distracted by a rabbit over here.
Oh.
Hi, Finger Sammy.
Oh, they get so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that being, I mean, I could feel, obviously it's negative polarity, but it was, I don't know, just like a really light feeling negative polarity. Like, you know, yeah, I guess that would be a good balance. Like it's a light, dark being.
Well, he's losing his ego if he's going up to 5D.
So yeah, that was interesting. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got the answers I was expecting. They do extreme evil over and over again till they realize, oh, I'm doing it to me, and then they stop and then they ascend.
Yeah.
Seems kind of, I don't know. What a way to spend your life. Doing horrific acts to yourself over and over.
Yeah, but like it was saying, it was like, yeah, but those emotions, those feelings, like we like them. It's like we're your total opposite. you know, and just like all the light stuff, they're like repulsed by. But yeah, he said he had to get to an understanding that he was both, even the part that disgusts him, like he is that. And so in understanding the light side fully and his side fully, then he's like very on like, this is how you make clear decisions. Like it's of the most importance that you like make clear decisions.
Right. From a balanced perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, lots to think about, lots to ponder.
Yes, we'll definitely have to watch this back again. But we encourage you guys to have a discussion down below. What did you guys think? Have you gotten something different in your meditations? What does your higher self have to say? We've loved all the conversations that have been occurring in our comment section.
Yes, and the suggestions are great too.
Oh yes, all the suggestions have been lovely. Our list is like,
yeah.
But there are a lot of good suggestions. Yeah, if you guys are interested in actually getting a channeling of your own, a one-on-one channeling where you basically get to ask questions like James does, and then you get to connect with whatever entity you wish, definitely check out my website. There is a Samhain sale still going on.
Oh, sweet.
Anyway,
you said it all. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I guess we'll catch you guys next Monday. Keep those comments coming and those suggestions and questions, and yeah, we appreciate you guys. All right, catch you later. Bye.
Bye.